The parents were all responsible for lobbying Congress and for saying more needed to be done to protect children from violence and abduction. What happened with Johnny Gosch is what opened the doors for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Welcome, faithful listeners, to the first episode of Season 5 of Strangeful Things. It's hard to believe we've had that many episodes, but we have. This is actually, technically, episode 126, and I am not even a little bit tired. So I want to give a big thank you to all you listeners who have stuck with us all this time. And if you're new, then you have a whole back catalog to listen to and wonder who the fuck all those old hosts are. But there's one thing you won't wonder, and that's who the current hosts are. My beautiful grackles are here. So without further ado, let me introduce Mel's, Snoops, and Shuey.
Yay!
Yay.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Okay, I just want to say this. We're in season 5, and I literally just learned what a grackle is, and I don't know if I should be highly offended that you call us grackles or if I should take it as a term of endearment, because someone described a grackle as a bird that is okay looking on the outside, but is a monster on the inside. So I just...
How is that
I've been
not a
wondering
compliment?
this whole time what a grackle is. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Okay, because I was like, grackle, cackle, smackle, whatever. I was like, he just came up with, I had no idea that it was like this disgusting bird that everybody like shits on. So thanks a lot.
No, they're harbingers of doom. They're super cool.
I actually
guess
like that. All right.
That's why they described him as ugly on the inside. So
That's
We're
right.
okay looking, but we're
Okay looking.
bringing the doom. All right. I'm good with it.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. What's new and good with me? Well, I mean, the good thing, obviously, like I said, we're going into season 5, so I'm very excited about that. I'm still under the electric blanket because it's cold as fuck here. So I guess that would be my new and good. I'm still living and still healthy. So yay.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. And you have an electric blanket, so score.
I know. Just can't get my headphones too close to it or I'll electrocute myself.
Mhm.
Don't do that. Well, I guess I won't get the gas station headphones with the electric blanket then.
Yeah. Keep your electric blanket away from it.
All right. What's new and good with me? I'm super excited because I think now it's officially official that I'm here, right?
Yay!
Acadia, is it officially official?
Is it?
Did you get it? Did you get an email?
I did not get an email, but I
Then I wouldn't-
have a Strangeful Things email.
But
Yeah.
did you get a handbook? We need to ask that question.
Did you get a handbook? Did you get anything from DocuSign?
No, I did not. Should we
All
talk
right.
about this?
Yeah, we'll have to talk to HR.
With all those
Okay.
NDAs, you have. Oh,
There's a lot of
Anyway.
there's a
NDAs.
lot
So I'm
of
super
NDAs.
excited about that. I'm so psyched about the topics we have for this season. And you guys are going to make fun of me because I know I'm really, really, really behind on this, but I just started Lost and I am so hooked and obsessed. I don't think I've slept in 3 nights.
Yeah, so so you're watching. I don't even know how to feel about that, Snoops. Like my friends got HBO Max and they were all excited to watch Game of Thrones, and I was like,
Oh, great!
Oh no, you did.
I can't wait to hear about it every week.
Well, you
Every
will
time
because
watch
I
it.
am so obsessed with it. And
It's such a good show.
it's not one of those things like I know what's going to happen. I just never paid attention to it or to my friends who watch it. So I'm going into this completely blind, and don't spoil anything because I will throat punch you. I am so excited about this show.
Well, that's good. That's fun.
It's a very good show.
It's not new, but it's good.
There you go.
And you don't have to worry about anybody spoiling it because no one remembers it existed.
Exactly. All right. Well, my new and good is more about it's kind of a new shit going on in our lives now, where I am in full mode with moving.
Yeah.
Got the house is getting painted up, fixing whatever little crap is wrong with it, and so we're in full swing. So
come to me.
Oh,
I don't know. Bad.
Blah.
Yeah,
I sent you an awesome house
help,
that was right up the street from me.
I saw it was an awesome house.
It really was. I can't
It really
believe
was.
the difference in what you get down there for
it's
what you
nuts.
get here for that price. It still blows my mind.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yep. That's because we don't have big cities or unions. So everything is cheaper.
Schools.
Yeah.
you know, those types of things.
Kind of evens out, whatever. Not a lot of toll roads. But no, I'm very excited for you to get here, Shuey. I can't wait.
I'm pretty psyched.
Yeah. Man, we're gonna get one of those fancy mixing boards like radio stations have, dialing shit while we're recording. That's gonna be exciting.
We'll get like an on-air sign for the doorway.
Oh yeah,
Jealous.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Well, Mel's has one of those. It's just that no one comes in.
I know. I was going to say, I'll try to find this recording sign for you and get one for you.
Yeah. My new and good is I have a dirt pile in my driveway that I am slowly but surely moving into my backyard.
Oh.
Are you doing that with a wheelbarrow or are you doing it by hand?
So it was super muddy. I started with a wheelbarrow, but it's so muddy where the fence is, the gate, that I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I would have just been a hand sticking out of the mud eventually, and no one would ever find me. So now I've taken to using a bucket, and I fill up the bucket, and I walk all the way back to the pool, and I dump it, and then I go back and fill it up again.
Oh my God. That's a
Wow.
lot.
Wait a minute. How do you guys say that? Wheel what?
It's a wheelbarrow.
Weird.
Not a wheelbarrow. It's a
so I'm saying you're
Yes, it's a barrow.
Yeah, what you're saying is not a word.
Yeah, it's a wheelbarrow.
Why are they both saying
And
barrow?
it's not duct tape. It's duct.
Oh my God.
You guys are blowing
Yeah.
my mind right now.
Jesus.
How many things do I say wrong that I don't even know about?
You know what you can fill a wheelbarrow with? Onions.
It's just easier to say wheelbarrow. Okay.
All right, well.
I'm wrong. Sorry.
Now that we've established ourselves as super credible.
I spell it right. I just don't say it right.
Fair enough. How often do you spell it?
I just spelled it in my head and I was like, oh, I guess they're right.
I just picture you writing angry notes and leaving them on your neighbor's cars about wheelbarrows.
About wheelbarrows.
Dear sir.
Wheelbarrow off my yard.
Nice a fucking pocket job. All right, so this is completely out of control. There's 4 people on the episode. Don't get used to it. I get nervous when there's that many fell companions together. They might try starting to unionize or overthrow me or some shit like that.
Oh, it's in the works already. We're preparing a list of demands as we speak.
Yeah, we have the freedom to assemble.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
far be it from me to infringe on your right to assemble. I would never dream of it. I would also never dream of cruising around Des Moines, Iowa at the ass crack of dawn on a Sunday cruising for paper boys. But that's what this story is about. And it's not just any story. It's the first part of a fucking trilogy that's going to make the QAnon doofuses flip their wigs.
You've been talking about doing this for like forever. It's been like on the topic list for longer than I have. And you just kept moving it down while we did everything else.
Well, it's been on the topic list since the show started, because the first time I ever talked about it at all was on Waiting for the Train, which was the show that was before Strangeful Things. You guys probably didn't even know that.
I know it. I've watched it.
Yeah. It was about current events.
I knew it existed.
Then there was a creepy story in every episode. And one time I did the creepy story about Omaha, which is next week. And that gave us the whole idea to do Strangeful. And 34 co-hosts later, here we are.
How many hosts have you had?
Don't worry about it, noob. Just walk past it.
Many.
So, we're going to talk about Johnny Gosch tonight. Johnny was born on November 12th, 1969, which puts him firmly in Generation X. His homeland was Des Moines, Iowa, which is the only town I know of in Iowa except Ottumwa, which is where Radar was from on MASH. Do you know any other towns in Iowa?
Yeah, Iowa City.
That's made up.
No, I know a lot of Iowans, believe it or not, and there is an Iowa City. I've been to Iowa twice.
I'm panicking. I can't think of anything. I'm panicking.
Actually, I've been 3 times. I've been to Iowa 3 times.
I've been to Iowa once, and I went to West Branch. That's where the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library is.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And my daughter was a big fan of Herbert Hoover.
Cedar Rapids is in Iowa
Well, my
also.
apologies to all the major metropolitan areas of Iowa.
Cedar Rapids is where the Quaker Oats factory is at.
Yeah. Do you know how many Iowans you offended? They're like the bulk of our audience.
God damn it. I really should look at the stats more. Anyway, his parents were Noreen and John Gosch, and while the bulk of our research for this episode is from the documentary Who Took Johnny? Spoiler, somebody took him. There is a lot of information out there in the wild, courtesy of Noreen. She has never given up on finding her son, and there is a lot of crazy shit that goes on in this story, and a lot of it can be traced directly back to Noreen's mouth. But that doesn't mean it isn't true, you know? I mean, how long did you guys bug me about when the script was going to be done? And no matter how many crazy lies I told about why it wasn't done, the underlying fact that it was not done was still true.
What?
I'm saying that I took so long finishing the script so I could use it as an example in the script because I'm a super genius, right? That's why I stopped going to the WhatsApp for a while. Sick of your goddamn questions. Anyway, according to his mom, Johnny was not a quiet boy, which is honestly refreshing. I think in a lot of stories, for one reason or another, kids are portrayed as squeaky clean, and I like to think that Johnny had the capacity to be a little shit. Not sure why I like to think that. Maybe I just hope he had a lot of fun before he got snatched.
No.
Well, I also hope he had fun after he got snatched, but I'm not very confident that that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a universe where he got kidnapped by some hot rich girl from the 80s. I don't know, like Heather Locklear. I bet lots of 80s boys hope for that.
I already like this season because you guys are already trying to come up with mental defense mechanisms to shield yourselves from the horror of our topics. What about you, Snoops? You got any mental defenses you want to share with the group?
I have a lot, but I hate the kids' stories. You keep making me research them. So I'm going back to unionizing and having my list of demands. And my first is going to be stop making me research the kids' stories because I absolutely hate them.
Request denied. Though, honestly, it does make me happy that you didn't say you loved researching the kids' stories because that would be very troubling.
That would be very troubling.
Maybe the Snoops from another universe loves learning about pedos and hates, I don't know, aliens. I don't know. Do you guys think alternate universe Strangeful Things is more popular than us?
I would hate to imagine the alternate universe smells. Like, I just don't even want to go there because she's probably the nicest person on the planet, and that makes
She's
me
from
sick.
like swanky Rhode Island with short blonde hair.
Yeah. Never stepped in a cow turd in her life. So
Nope. Reads a lot of John Grisham.
Oh, Dean Koontz. Make me vom. No, she probably reads like Nora Roberts. Okay,
Yeah,
let's be real. Nicholas Sparks.
I don't know. Shuey, who would my alternate be then? Ooh, this is going to be dangerous.
Yours is from the South.
But I feel country at heart. I do.
Like a Dolly Parton-esque character.
Why do I have to have big boobs? Why?
I was gonna take the boobs away, but then I didn't want to offend you.
I mean, I'm not talking about the side. You know what? This is getting weird. Keep going.
I know. That's why I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, in I guess
And
in
why does she
alternate
have to-
universe,
why does she have
Why
to be
Dolly
fighting?
Parton?
Yeah, why does she have to be fighting Jolene for her man? Come on now.
Well,
yeah, right.
I didn't put her in that situation.
Well,
I'm just saying it like I think it.
this is, I'm not thinking of things before they come out of my mouth.
I'm just
Exactly.
saying them.
You know it.
This is improv, baby.
Thinking
All right, now
trouble.
back to the story. According to Noreen, on Friday, September 3rd, 1985, give or take a day or two, the whole family went to a football game. Now, I assume it was a high school football game because it's fucking Iowa, and what else are you going to do on a Friday night, Mr. Fancy Pants? Go to a pro game? I don't think so. Mind you, I have no evidence for this other than the testimony of the mom, which will come into play later. Anyway, Johnny wants to get something from the concession stand, so his father gives him money. That rings true to me because I assume fathers are lazy and would rather make the kid go get his own fucking hot dog. But he didn't come back.
Oh.
So John still had to get up and go look for him.
Oh, that fucking
Damn
kid.
kids.
I know, right? Little shit. And he found him talking to a cop.
Oh,
Now, I guess you can't really get safer than that unless the cop turns out to be the bad lieutenant.
Oh.
So Johnny asks if he can stand over by the fence to watch the game instead of sitting with his lame parents who go to high school football games that their kids are not playing in.
I know.
Wait.
They say
like
yes.
that. Oh.
How old is Johnny?
12.
Okay.
So he's going to the football game age. The fuck
Okay.
his parents are doing there? I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what they're doing. That's the best thing going on in Iowa in 1985 on a Friday.
But there was TV. Like, Manimal
They were
might have been
probably-
on.
1985,
supervising
Miami
him.
Vice was on Friday nights in 1985.
Oh, you're right.
So they weren't going to watch that.
They were probably supervising him. Noreen is a very involved mother.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they didn't have cable like some of us didn't have growing up, so we don't need to go down that road again.
Hey, those
Yeah.
were network shows.
Okay.
Yeah, that was over the air. So still, you could have just adjusted the rabbit ears
Did
and it
not
would
have
have
an
been fine.
antenna.
No, we
Were
had
those
an
so
actual
fancy pants
antenna
on?
on top of the house. And when the wind blew, it would blow it over. And my dad was so lazy, he wouldn't go on top of the house and fix it. So, I mean, I'm talking about an antenna that you could see above all the other neighbors' houses, by the way.
Oh, that's nice. I'm glad we got cable when I was like 10.
Well, Johnny's over by the fence. They say yes because they can see him from where they're sitting in the stands, and the fucking kid disappears again. So John has to get up again and go looking for him a second time, and he finds him under the bleachers.
Smoking pot, probably.
He's 12, you fucking animal.
Whatever.
She's
Jesus.
speaking from experience.
Yeah, I guess.
Excuse me. I was 14. That's
So
dad-
put some respect on that, okay?
Yeah, I know, right?
Why?
Christ. His dad finds him under the bleachers talking to the same cop from before. Now, Johnny tells him that it was cool talking to the cop and he wants to be a cop someday and blah, blah, fucking blah cop. But that was the end of that story. Or was it?
Well, was it?
Maybe. But we're not talking about it right now.
Oh.
Right now, we're going to talk about the next night, Saturday night. That night, the whole family, Johnny had 2 stepbrothers, but they've never actually had anything to do with the case. Apparently, they were already grown when Johnny disappeared, but they were supposedly at dinner on September 4th. Now, that night, According to some accounts, Johnny asked if he could do his paper route by himself the next morning. Now, usually his dad went with him. Now, this matters because later, if you want to have some more crackpot theories, then him asking to go alone will bring up one batch of things. Well, actually, there's no other side to this story.
Well, if his father told him to go alone, then that would mean the father was in on it, right?
He could have just been sleepy.
Well, stop making excuses for the father.
I get
right? So we'll just add new theory, inside job, to the theory list. And this sort of lends itself to a JFK-style pit of conspiracy crazy talk because since the father always went with him, except for this one time, then it seems like a pretty big coincidence that he got kidnapped the one time he was alone.
All right, so hear me out. Maybe, but not if the kidnappers were always like waiting in the bushes every week. But his father was there and they were like, damn it. But then they never gave up and their perseverance paid off.
It's the feel-good story of the year.
Yes, that's fine. Like, you just gave every stalker that listens to this show hope that their plan will eventually work.
Oh, no.
But it won't. Listen, stalkers, stop stalking. Do something else with your time. Maybe TikTok.
Ooh, are we doing TikTok this season?
If there is organic TikTok bubbling up, then we'll let it happen. But we're not going to force anything, unlike those stalkers in the audience. But you guys know what I mean by like how conspiracies grow to fit the space caused by random shitty luck and coincidence. Like,
oh yeah, well,
use
yeah.
the JFK one as an example. Like every single thing that happens in the JFK thing that you can't immediately explain becomes part of it.
Right, like the one person with an umbrella in the audience that day.
Yeah, that fucking guy.
Suspicious.
He was in on it.
Well, we all figured out that was the dad from Umbrella Academy, so we don't need to. That's no longer a conspiracy.
They already explained that in season 2.
Oh, another example of where the dad did it.
Exactly.
Your theory is starting to shape up more and more now.
Yeah, see?
Do your own paper route so my buddies in the bushes can finally get things done.
And never mind the one with the umbrella.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, just because we talked about conspiracy theories, don't think for a minute that we don't believe that some of the shit we're bringing you in this trilogy of mess really happened, because we totally do. And when we say conspiracy theory, we don't mean it as a disparaging term.
Not always.
Einstein had a theory of relativity, and you don't see people shitting on him. Also, I've noticed that we are well into the show and have not even gotten to the snatch yet. But never fear. Snatch is very close.
Oh, God, stop it.
Snatch.
Ugh.
Right?
Stop.
Okay. Now, Johnny got up at the ass crack of dawn, which is a real time, on Sunday, September 5th, 1982. I said 1985 before, but it was 1982. He had to deliver the papers. Now, I don't know if people still do that. I guess they must. I know some poor sucker throws the Matthews Mint Hill Gazette or whatever it is in my driveway every week, and I just throw it away, but whoever it is keeps doing it. Honestly, if I just threw the magazine version of Strangeful in people's driveways every week, I would probably get in trouble. But if it's news, I guess it's okay.
You don't recycle that newspaper?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it comes the same day as trash day. So I bring my barrel down the driveway, pick up the newspaper, put it in the barrel, and then walk back to my house.
Okay. Alternate universe Acadia recycles.
Yeah. We're going to work on that. We're going to put our recycling bin next to the regular bin. This way you just throw it in that one instead of the garbage.
Or, and hear me out, maybe we could devote our attention to the giant fucking corporations that are actually doing all the polluting instead of me worrying about me putting a fucking pizza box in the wrong can. Stop making it our fault. It's not our fault. We should all be smoking cigarettes and drinking milk out of gallon jugs.
Jug.
All right. So there's that. Trying to blame me. And don't get me started on putting my carts back either. Fuck you, Harris Teeter.
Your
Anyway,
clock's back.
no, my shopping carts.
Oh, your
That
buggy.
Yeah, oh, for Christ's sake.
Both you, cat and buggy.
Cat and buggy.
God damn.
It took me a minute to figure out what was going on there.
Oh,
Whatever it is, just remember this, folks. Don't put them back. That's
Please.
just big grocery sucking money out of your pocket.
Please put the buggies back where
I
they
got
belong.
to be the freaking cart boy at Channel Home Center one summer, and it was like 100 degrees every friggin' day that summer. Those people
Yeah.
are heroes.
Yeah, and
Who doesn't
if
put the cart back?
Lots
Right. Me.
of people. I see.
Me.
You know what? It's gonna, my career change. That's gonna keep us in business. All those dings in the sides of the car. So don't put your cart back. That's fine. Just don't.
I don't
hit
put
my
it back, and I don't go to the self checkout either. Fuckers.
Why? I don't
He's an
understand
old
this.
man.
If
That's
you
why.
do the work yourself, you should get a discount.
You steal.
Actually,
Well,
you
I
can
mean-
steal better if you go to the
Wait.
self checkout.
When
Well, I
you
hadn't
do
thought of
selling
stealing.
items, do you ring up one thing and put two things in the bag?
No, because
you
the
know
thing
what?
will go off.
Well, that's what I was about to say. CVS has gotten real smart. Not that I'm stealing from CVS. Let me make that very clear. But I
Because I
went into
can't anymore, but
because I went into the CVS, I picked up a prescription and I picked up some colored pencils for Wildcat, and I went up to the self-checkout and I opened the bag, I put the colored pencils in there, and then I threw my prescription in there because I was like, hello, it's a bag. And it was,
Yep.
it just alarms started going off. And I was like, it's just a bottle of pills, people.
I think
God
at the
damn.
end of this episode, we shouldn't give our contact information.
why? Just because you're worried that people are going to be bothering Mel's to get her sweet pills?
Yeah, I'm not going to disclose what the script was for.
I got a lot of problems.
You have a lot of problems. All right.
Main takeaway is the grocery stores trick you into thinking that you're helping yourself when all you're doing is making it that they make the same amount of money and don't have to hire as many people.
Yeah.
Because the one fucking poor person that stands there in charge of the 8 self-checkouts just so she can angrily slump over and hit a bunch of buttons when you don't get your fucking avocados checked in right.
Why are
It's
they
not
so
making-
angry when they have to come over?
Because they have to deal with the stupidest of the people that think they're smart.
Except
I
saying,
feel personally
remove
attacked.
stuff from the bagging area, but then when I remove it, I have nowhere to put it.
Also,
Then it says to place it in the bagging area.
I waited until the rotisserie chickens got marked down because they're so old, but the sticker coupon stuck halfway on there.
Okay,
Ugh.
just go through a regular checkout for chicken. But if you got something
Yeah.
like colored pencils, you can go to a self checkout.
Unless you have your pills with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
unless you've got
Unless
a
you're-
prescription.
Last year. Because the real story takeaway from this was Mel's was high as fuck and tried to steal some colored pencils.
Yeah, wait until I got it home for that part. Okay.
All right. So now, newspapers. That's where we started.
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
with newspapers. Now, this was olden times, and people needed the newspaper because otherwise they wouldn't know what the fuck was going on. So Johnny had a sacred duty. He dressed for his sacred duty that morning in a white sweatshirt that said Kim's Academy on the back, track pants, and blue rubber flip-flops. He was also carrying a yellow paper bag for some reason. Now, the big problem with this whole thing is the flip-flops.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I need to say this, but men should never wear fucking flip-flops. You're just
Never.
completely ceding superiority to any other man who is not wearing flip-flops. Wearing flip-flops is you telling the world that you're not going to put up any type of fight whatsoever. Did you ever see someone in flip-flops win a fight? I'm not even really
No.
asking you that because we all know the answer is no. And I will go one step further. I was talking about, raving, whatever, on Twitter, and a fella said, well, don't talk shit about people that wear flip-flops because I actually teach jujitsu and I wear flip-flops all the time. And I asked him, do you wear flip-flops while you're teaching jujitsu? And his answer was, of course I fucking don't, because you're 100% right. So.
Now,
Johnny also
say, hold on, I will say some flip-flops now come with bottle openers on the bottom of them. The epitome of lazy, in my opinion. However, if you did catch a right hook to someone's eye with a bottle opener flip-flop, you could cause some damage. But continue on.
But that's the thing. The flip-flop would already be halfway across the street by the time you got anywhere near the person's head. It's a flip-flop. It's not supposed to stay on. Maybe a slide. But if you got that thing between your toes, I hate it just thinking about it. Oh, no flip-flops. Anyway.
Okay.
Johnny also brought his dog Gretchen with him on the paper route.
Oh, no.
Gretchen?
Yeah.
No.
And at about 5:45 a.m. that morning, he left the house with his dog, his literal little red wagon that is now sometimes put on display at the Iowa State Fair.
That's so sick.
And that yellow paper bag that bugs me for some reason. Now, other intrepid carriers of the Des Moines Register said they saw Johnny picking up his papers at the paper drop. But that's the last time he was seen by a group of people that could all corroborate each other's stories. But it was not, according to other witnesses, the last time he was seen. Now, ordinarily, old crappers complaining about things is bad. But in this instance, crusty jerks started calling the Gosch house super early in the morning because they hadn't gotten their paper yet. Now, waiting around at 6 a.m. for the newspaper must be the old crapperiest thing I have literally ever heard of. The fuck you're in a hurry for, Shep? You want to see how many of your friends died overnight? Can't wait to find out what happened to Mark Trail. I knew Julie would get Mark Trail. Does anybody else know who Mark Trail is?
No.
It was a comic.
Oh.
But it was like just about this what was he, a woodsman? Like, I don't even know.
Like that. Yeah.
He was kind of like a outdoorsy guy that solved mystery. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason, they started calling the house and bitching. So John, for the third time in 3 days, had to go out looking for Johnny. But the third time was not the charm. John Gosch found the wagon full of papers with Gretchen the dog still tied to it, but his son was gone.
Well, I'm glad they didn't like shoot the dog or anything, but not that I don't wish that the boy hadn't been taken, but I'm really glad about the dog.
Me too. I was getting really worried when we talked about Gretchen.
Meanwhile, in another universe, you got the kid? Yeah. Any witnesses? Just a dog. I said no witnesses. Okay, boss.
See, that's so much worse. That's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's that other universe for you. It's rough over there.
It is.
Dolly
So
Parton
rough
Snoops
over
doesn't
there.
like that one.
I understand. But I'm glad that by explaining to you that the dog was safe, I could make the kidnapping of a child more palatable to you, you monster. Now, the parents called the cops right away, but the cops didn't show up for 45 minutes. I guess because they needed to read the paper first. And when they got there, the first thing they asked was,
has your son ever run away before?
because of course, what 12-year-old boy hasn't been standing next to his wagon with his dog at 6 a.m. on Sunday and suddenly been overcome by a wanderlust so powerful he just fucking left, dinked off into the Iowa mists in his fucking flip-flops.
Oh my god. All right, not a fan of how the cops handled this whole thing. Reading about it and watching that documentary, but I really haven't seen any cops really do a great job with the cases that we've been looking at. Not a cop hater. Don't come after me for that. But the cops in this case, they were like, we can't do anything because the person isn't considered missing until they've been gone for 72 hours. It's a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, I know. Like, would that work if it was a toddler? Well,
Crazy.
sorry that your kid was in the park and all of a sudden he's gone, but we got to wait 72 hours because technically a 2-year-old is a person. Makes no fucking sense at all. So, the cops in true crime stories rarely become the center of the story because of how efficient and caring they are, almost like they aren't there to help us No, wait. I'm not going to let season 5 get political unless the country degenerates into some sort of Mad Max situation where the COVID vaccine makes your tits shoot lasers. We're not going to be ranting about current events. And you guys know who I'm talking about.
Listen, what you're saying is there's a chance I can do it.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Not
Not
a
a
There's a chance, because who knows? It could degenerate to that.
That's true. But I'm going to use every bit of energy I have to oppress you. Not because I
not
disagree with you
have
at
a
all.
lot of energy anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I have been lugging dirt out into my backyard every day after work, so I am
left
in your wheelbarrow.
No, in a bucket. Keep up, Snoops. Fuck's sake. Plus, it's been raining for like 3 days, so it's really just mud. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. I have lofty aspirations, and I don't want this show to seem dated. I assume people will be enjoying this 100 years from now, so we need to focus on being evergreen.
Oh, you mean like the timeless tidbits like Charlotte McKinney and Fantasy Island, the movie, and TikTok? That kind of evergreen?
Well, number one, Charlotte McKinney just got new representation. Number two, she's in a new movie where she is credited every time they list who's in it, but she's not in the trailer. So that's pretty consistent.
Is it a Pauly Shore movie?
No. Every single thing you mentioned will be very much in the 22nd century zeitgeist.
We just don't know it yet.
That's right. Once Charlotte smartens up and gets her own TikTok, the Smithsonian will be calling.
Like Futurama.
I don't know exactly where Fantasy Island fits in yet, but I have 100 years to figure it out. Plus, there's nothing more timeless than hypocrisy, which I have plenty of.
Well, at least you said it. And I just have one thing to say, which is free speech, fucker.
Well, there's a checkmate for you.
Fuck. Well, understanding how strongly you feel about the issues of the day, we could always do a different show featuring hot topics.
Oh, the clothing store. I love that place.
Now, well, it would be you and me discussing the hot topics of today while wearing ill-fitting clothes from Hot Topic.
That would be hot.
Yes, we need to spend a lot of time talking about how the clothes don't fit because we don't actually disagree on any of the issues of the day.
Now that's a fun Patreon idea right there.
There you go.
For sure. Now, back to the story. The Dingus cops did manage to gather some testimony from witnesses. Now, according to one John Rossi,
I was there that morning. Johnny was doing his wagon and Johnny's dog was with him. There happened to be a car on 42nd Street, and there was a guy in there, and he was talking to Johnny Gosch. Johnny asked me to come over here and help this guy. Suddenly, this car took off. I thought it was kind of strange.
Now, the cops, for their part, did not see this as significant. According to Captain Bob Rushing of the West Des Moines Police Department,
someone stopping to ask a paperboy for directions would not at all be out of line. We still don't know what happened that morning. Well, what the fuck about the part where the car takes off when the adult shows up do you not get?
Yeah, that does seem to be the key piece of information in this particular story. So they had like one thing to examine so far and they fucked it up. I mean, what else you got?
well, another paperboy, Mike, was picking up his morning papers and told the police department that he noticed a car stop, then back up to the point where Johnny Gosch was walking. And he saw Johnny speak briefly to the driver of the vehicle. The vehicle was described as a two-toned blue Ford Fairmont The car came back and met Johnny further up the road on the corner of 42nd Street, where it is said he asked for directions. Johnny continues down 42nd Street, where Mike says he saw a man come out from between two houses and follow Johnny down 42nd Street. Also, does anyone think it's weird that Des Moines, Iowa has numbered streets? Like, I don't want to distract from the fact that a kid's being kidnapped, but, like, I just feel like Des Moines would not have so many streets that they couldn't think up names for them.
I didn't want to be like offensive. I've never been to Des Moines, but I can't imagine it being so big that it needs 42 and on streets.
Well, Atlanta has numbered streets.
I feel like Atlanta is, no, I'm not going to say it because I might be wrong and then I'll sound real dumb.
I think Des Moines is the capital of Iowa, isn't it?
It's got 215,000 people.
Yeah, Atlanta's over a million.
Yeah, that's yeah, okay. That's the only reference point I have for streets that are numbered. But I have a question. Wasn't a Ford Fairmont what the vehicle in question in My Cousin Vinny?
Jeez.
It was a Ford Fairmont.
What is a Ford Fairmont?
It kind of looks like a station wagon. Like one of those two-tone, like wooden on the bottom type, but it's not quite as large as those old station wagons. It's like a hybrid car/station wagon with the wood paneling on the bottom.
So it was big enough to steal a kid, but not like a grown-up.
Clearly.
Big enough to steal a grown. There's a lot of room back here. You can fill 2 kids or 1 adult.
Exactly. Well,
or a kid.
We need 3 kids to fill out this trench coat, so I guess we can. All right. Witness P.J. Smith, a neighbor on the route, said that at approximately the time that Johnny would be headed in that direction, he heard a car door slam outside his home and saw a 2-toned Ford Fairmont start up from where Johnny Gosch was last seen, made a left-hand turn, blowing through the stop sign. And that is where Johnny's wagon, newspapers, and dog Gretchen were found. So, altogether, there are 5 witnesses that piece together the movements of Johnny that morning. They describe the car, they all know Johnny, and attest to the fact that they do not believe he would ever run away. Yet the Des Moines Police Department acts convinced that this was just a case of a runaway boy, and they completely excluded witness accounts.
Yikes.
Now, all of this had a chilling effect on the community, and people started being less likely to let their kids out ramming around at all hours. People also participated. Yes.
Is that something you did?
Yeah, well, that's what my mother always said. You're going out ramming around. It might not be orthodox, but nobody misinterprets what you mean.
That's enough ramming around.
That's exactly. You can stay home for one night. Been out ramming around all week. Now, people also participated in searches for the missing boy. In fact, thousands of people came out to help search for Johnny. And as the searches were executed, the townsfolk became increasingly frustrated with what seemed like a severe lack of interest or a significant amount of work done by the West Des Moines Police Department. Most of the searches were organized by the Gosch family and done outside of official police business. The cops were doing nothing, according to the Gosches anyway, to help find their son. The police continually respond to Noreen's pleas for help or FBI intervention with, "We simply do not have a crime here."
Ugh.
Can I just interrupt you real quick, Acadia?
Yeah.
So during these searches that were put together by the town, they would have the street police out on the side, like on the side streets where these searches were happening, with their speedometers out trying to give speeding tickets out instead of helping on these searches. Like,
Really?
blatantly not participating.
Well, that sucks, but I also can't see how you'd be very good at searching if you're speeding around really fast in a car. Seems like that should be something that should be done slowly. But
That's true.
I do understand the cops weren't helping, but maybe in that one instance, that guy wasn't really helping either. I'm the fastest searcher in town. I drove from one end to the other and didn't see nothing.
No, okay. All right. No, now I need, okay. So in that article that I read, one of the people who were searching knocked on the cop car's window, like, why are you doing that instead of getting out and helping us? They didn't speed past in the car.
Oh.
But that was funny.
All right. So the story begins to move from an abducted child to a major conflict with law enforcement. It baffled people how the police department was not involved in the searches, how they were choosing not to run down any leads. The two-toned Ford Fairmont was simply not investigated. And the chief of police, Orville Cooney, I'm going to say that again, Orville Cooney.
Sounds like a good guy.
Yes. Or it sounds like a disease that a doctor in Mel's old town would diagnose someone with. Well, you got Orville Cooney.
Orville Cooney there, boy.
I think I know somebody that died from that, so let's be sensitive.
Sorry.
Well, if left untreated, Orville Cooney can really hurt you.
Yeah.
So, this is what Orville Cooney said to a reporter.
I don't give a damn what Noreen Gosch has to say. I really don't give a damn what she thinks. I'm kind of sick of her. He said it just that angrily, too. That's it. The cops are so in on this. The cop at the football game was the setup man. He's probably the one who convinced Johnny to wear flip-flops so he couldn't run away.
Well, what? So case closed? I mean, the show is over? We can just tell people how to find us on the socials now? I mean...
Pretty much. I doubt anyone's going to change my mind at this point. Who did it? Chief Orville Cooney.
I didn't expect that. Bet you feel dumb for doing all that other research now, don't you, Snoop?
I often feel dumb, but yeah, I guess I'm the asshole now. So I think, new tactic moving forward, I'm going to decide who did it and only include facts that support that. That's going to make this so much easier.
Yeah, that's the kind of journalism our listeners crave. But even though Shuey is not going to move from his position that the cops did it, I still think, and so now we've got Mel's that's convinced the father did it. Shuey's on the cop side. Snoops, who actually researched it, isn't saying anything.
Nope.
Well, and I'm still in the alternate universe where the show is more popular. All right.
There you go.
And where they shot the dog.
Oh, I hate that.
So,
What kind of monster are you?
I think it's probably wise to play out the string and present the rest of the information that we have, especially since this is one part of a multiple part thing.
You know,
Yes.
you do what you got to do. I'm just saying it's the cops.
All right. Well, Noreen became the mouthpiece of the case, demanding FBI intervention, asking questions, demanding action. She was very quickly the center of negative media, portraying her no longer as a grieving, desperate mother trying to find her child, but as a thorn in the side of law enforcement. She was continually told for anything to be done, she had to prove that Johnny was in danger. Until she could provide evidence of such, he was just a runaway. Now, this is very typical. People can get all riled up about a tragedy, but they can only hold that level of intensity for so long. You hardly see anyone pissed off about Lance Armstrong doing steroids anymore. Maybe that's not the best example, but it is an example.
So are you looking for more articles saying that Lance Armstrong still sucks? Because just to remind everyone that he sucks so they can get all pissed off about it and not be able to do anything with their anger. Actually, hold on. Wait a minute. Maybe that's why things run in waves. Like, as shitty as that terrible things happen, I mean, people can't emotionally handle being amped up all the time. Right? And the people who do stay amped up about one thing all the time, who don't stay amped up because of their job, like they're usually either really rich because of it or really poor because of it. Like, I can't drop my mic because it's on a boom, but if I could, I mean, I totally would.
I mean, you're right. You're legitimately right. Like, take UFO people. to have a far away example.
Right.
Like people that really believe in UFOs are either using it to make money or they're just sitting in their basement listening to a ham radio and have no money at all.
Exactly.
Yep.
I know. Do you ever see The American Dad where Stan was all pissed off and he needed to go to the HOA? And he said, I need to maintain this level of intensity.
Exactly, right. Like
You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So, yeah, I guess that, I mean, honestly, Noreen was invested in the case. I mean, for fuck's sake, it was her kid. But, I mean, and we're going to see later that another person who had a personal tragedy that became legitimately an activist because of that tragedy also happened to become rich as a result of that tragedy.
Do you know, because he was, how old is he in this story?
12.
12.
Right, he's 12. All right, because he was 69 and 8. So, like, at what age do you not have to be missing for days before they give a shit? Like,
Right?
well,
Like
10?
Yes, Chewy. At the law at the time that Johnny Gosch disappeared was a person had to be gone for 72 hours before the cops would do anything. And person was all encompassing. Like there was no differentiation between
a baby.
Yes.
From a baby to an 80-year-old man. No.
Yeah.
72 hours before they
Well,
would
those babies
even
shouldn't
do
be all
anything.
that distinguished. But
Babies also sometimes say, I got to get out of here.
yeah, they leave their
And their
dogs
flip-flops.
tied up. Yeah.
As soon as their fontanelle hardens up, they're off.
Their kneecaps come in.
So, I'm not sure if this helps or hurts your cop theory, Shuey, but Chief Cooney resigned 6 months later after 18 different law enforcement employees made allegations against his many wrongdoings while in his position. He was found to have had several administrative deficiencies.
yeah, administrating kids into the basement. That's what he's administering.
Yes. Yes. I fully support your theory. I have now cleared the father.
But when you say, do you know when it says 18 law enforcement employees, does that mean cops or like the ladies in the office?
I mean, it's got to be both.
I think it trickles down, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that not only did he like fix tickets for people and like, I don't know, steal pot from the evidence room, but he probably always was like, hey, nice can, Sheila, when he came into the office.
Oh, God.
Right until the day he retired.
Exactly. I was convicted by Sheila. Great cans, though. I gotta go.
God.
And now we meet Ken Wooden, a child safety expert and child advocate. He reads about Johnny in the newspaper, and what happened seemed obvious to him. He's one of the first to bring the idea of pedophilia to the case. Believe it or not, most people have not, at this point, 1982, ever even heard the word. They just thought it was called church.
No.
Ew.
For real, a big part of this case is that the general population didn't know what pedophilia was or how prevalent it is.
Wow.
I guess it's sort of good because it means the average schlub is probably not a pedophile and would have no reason to think anyone else was either. Because you know what I mean? Like,
Ew.
I don't normally think. I wonder if a bunch of people want to do the stuff that I don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
You could go fucking nuts thinking about that. Because there's a lot of people on the earth, so the odds are that there's somebody that loves doing what you hate.
7.5 billion people. There's a few in there.
Oh, Christ. So in 1983, NBC Nightly News runs a story about child trafficking and the business of child pornography and child prostitution, and quite simply rocked the nation into opening their eyes to the depravity of it all.
Wow.
And tied to all. Now, the other thing that we're gonna talk about in subsequent episodes too. You've all heard of the Satanic Panic, right?
Of course. West Memphis
Right.
3.
That's
That's the height of Satanic Panic.
tangentially like connected to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we get to Omaha next week, you're gonna hear a bunch of stuff that kids say that doesn't get believed, even though there's no reason why they would make it up. But then that's what people thought about that daycare, but it turned out the kids were making it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of all over the map.
But see, it's the fact that like shit like this wasn't even talked about until 83, that people have this like crazy view of what America used to be. We just didn't talk about anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Shuey. Yeah.
And everybody thinks that it actually means that it was different. It's just so crazy.
Well, yeah. Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, they didn't get caught. Nobody said anything.
Nobody did anything to anybody.
No, it's different that it now has a name.
Yeah. And also there's a million outlets that are going to be able to like have reporters dig into this stuff and have cops that are going to talk about it. I mean, look at Special Victims Unit. You laugh, but fuck, they've highlighted more crimes that exist than anyone ever thought was real.
That show's been on
true.
for 20 years now, right?
Yeah.
20 years now.
I can't. We're already almost at an hour, so I can't do any. I encourage. I encourage everybody to look up the old memes of Ice-T saying crazy shit for SVU. Like it was just pictures of him in SVU saying like ridiculous.
Probably one of my favorite things ever.
And you got to say it in Ice-T's, like think of it in Ice-T's voice.
Yeah.
They make these kids dress and act like robots, messes them up so bad they think they're from the future.
Oh.
They glued pubic hair to his face and told him he was the Wolfman. Yeah, look those up. All right. Maybe I'll put some in the show notes. No, I won't. All right.
I'll post them on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Now, tied to all this, Noreen Gosch has finally offered a platform in which to speak with help from world-renowned experts. She's warned that it's not going to be a popular opinion and that the nation simply does not want to hear that there are powerful organized rings and institutions running this child sex thing, because it's a lot to absorb. And the power and the institutional part of this is sort of the point of the stories that we're telling in this series. And I genuinely believe that it is the truth behind shit that actually goes on that gives legs to crazy shit like QAnon. Now, QAnon works under the assumption that liberals are bad, and then it needs to backfill how they are bad and make it awful enough to convince Jim and Jane Facebook that they better get involved on the correct side. Because honestly, the number of people sticking up for the kid diddlers are very low, and you really don't want them on your team. But in reality, I'm going to say pretty definitively, if you like banging kids, that is going to be more of a way to bond with like-minded people than your views on federal spending and the role of government in our day-to-day lives. Meaning that trumps politics. So it makes more sense to me that a bunch of pedophiles would find each other, and not that they would just go, well, do you think that global warming is real? Yes. Well, hand me that child. It's not. That doesn't make any sense. The other way makes sense.
What do you have used on billionaires tax?
Exactly.
A 4-year-old girl.
Exactly. So you hear a story like Epstein and you're like, wow, rich and powerful people. And you see all the people that he was hanging around with. You're like, oh, rich and powerful people are fucking scumbags. You know, not all of them. Probably Warren Buffett can't get much done, but in general. And I'm just saying that if you're a QAnon person and for some reason you kept on listening after we made fun of you for an entire episode, I'm telling you, you're barking up the wrong tree. So The main takeaway as far as Johnny was concerned was that Noreen and others became convinced that the reason he was taken was because the child sex ring needed more children. And worrying about child sex rings all the time is pretty exhausting. Not to be a dick about it, but it's happening right now as we're recording this. It's all the time. And I took like 3 naps this weekend. People have their own shit to worry about, and the world is too big and too terrible to comprehend most of the time.
All right. Well, yeah, okay, that's true, but you don't need to say it so succinctly. Like, I'd like to think that we have more empathy than that.
Everybody would. That's probably why people like true crime. They get to be empathetic for like an hour, and then they can get back to their everyday shit.
Right.
So really, we're a public service. So think about that next time you don't feel like doing research and shit. We are providing a valuable public service. Story-wise, actually, I do kind of think that's true. There's got to be everything. Real life is so fucking terrible. Thinking about somebody who got murdered 35 years ago is much more relaxing.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many memes about that right now, and I laugh every time I see it. And I know I shouldn't, but it's true.
No,
I'm so stressed out right now. I'm going to go watch my hour-long murder documentary.
That's right.
Take my mind off the world.
It's true.
If you don't laugh at murder memes, then you're off the show. That's generally part of the application. So, story-wise, we jump to September of 1984. Believe it or not, that month, John Waite's Missing You was the #1 song.
Missing you.
And 13-year-old Eugene Martin, Des Moines, Iowa paperboy, disappears. Almost exactly 2 years after Johnny did.
I feel like they should have added kidnappers to the video game Paperboy. Like, that would have been like a cool element for like the higher levels. Like, shoot the paper in the mailbox, 500 points. Hit a kidnapper in the dick and ride away, 5,000 points. And you don't get kidnapped.
I'm pretty sure Mel's and Snoops have no idea what that game is.
I
agree with... How?
I hate when you bring this up. I am an avid original Nintendo player.
Oh, see.
I missed that. I really missed that one. But I was
my favorite is when the old man came out and he would chase you with the newspaper and you'd have to go real fast and hope you didn't fall off the sidewalk into the sewer drain.
Yeah, because you know what happens if he catch you?
You get kidnapped.
You get kidnapped. That's right. It was fucking Hubert from Family Guy.
Yeah. This whole time I've just been thinking about him.
Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that the similarities in these cases are pretty stark. But according to the West Des Moines Police Department, they could not find any connections between them, and that the boys were, quote, dissimilar in most ways.
Well, he was skinny and he was fat.
Yeah. Considering that they were both the same age, doing the same thing in the same town, seems like they're starting well down the road to suspicious. But maybe they meant that Johnny was a particularly sexy young lad while Eugene was homely.
Gross.
I don't know. I just know the cops didn't exactly spring into action when they got the second case. It's just another instance of an Iowa paperboy giving into the lure of the open road, they apparently thought.
The lure of the open cornfield.
Exactly. They just wander off and think about baseball and
was never seen again.
Wonder why they didn't bring their dog.
Or like Children of the Corn.
Ooh.
Malachi.
You knew I had to get a King reference in there.
Yep, that's right.
I'm going to have nightmares now.
Well, while the cops were busy doing nothing, civilians were busy doing all sorts of shit.
Good for them.
In September 1984, the images of both Johnny and Eugene are put on the side of milk cartons with the hope to publicize the two cases. This was the first time that a kid had ever been put on a milk carton. Not sure who leaves the milk out on the table to stare at. Would make much more sense if they put the kids on the cereal boxes, but what do I know? Also in 1984, John Walsh, who we all know, together with the Gosches and other parents of missing children, helped start the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You can find that organization at missingkids.org if you want to donate or confess your crimes or whatever. I don't know what you have going on. Also, The Johnny Gosch bill is passed in the Iowa legislature, meaning law enforcement has to act immediately when a minor is reported missing instead of waiting the previously stated 72-hour period.
Good.
At least in cases where foul play is suspected.
No.
I'm not sure why that's a factor.
Yeah,
like if a 12-year-old kid runs away on their own, and the cop's going to be like, well, that's what you get.
He's on his own.
Should have kept a closer eye on him and not let him read so many books that glorified the hobo lifestyle.
He has free will.
No Robinson Crusoe for you.
Exactly. Goddamn kid read the Hunger Games and ran off. So it's your own fault. Bad parenting. Also interesting, in 1985, a dollar bill surfaces that has "I am alive, Johnny Gosch" written on it.
No.
That's not particularly helpful, as pretty much anyone can write on a dollar bill. You really only need 2 items to make that dream a reality. Like I myself write, "If found, please return to and put my address on all my money." That, you never know. Could be.
Has it ever worked?
It might work eventually, but nothing else big happened with the case until 1991, when a 24-year-old man comes forward stating that he himself participated in the abduction of Johnny Gosch. The man, named Paul Bonacci, said,
"I was supposed to hold this person down and put this stuff over his face."
And that is where we're going to leave the story for this week. Next time, we're going to travel from Des Moines to Omaha, Nebraska, where I will unleash all sorts of vile shit onto your poor heads. As a matter of fact, the story was so bad that Snoops boycotted the research. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Technically, I did not boycott. I provided you with 15 pages of well thought out research and then said no more. So yes, I boycotted it.
Yes, that's eventually.
I don't know what's worse, that we're going to be talking about more terrible things happening, or that we have to stay in the Midwest.
No, it gets bad. It gets bad.
I don't mean to laugh at it, but it is true. It's like...
Well, it's more terrifying to be in the Midwest because it's harder to escape because you're so far from the edges of the country.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think that's why for some reason, people like in the middle of the country think they're more American than the people on the edges, because it's easier for people on the edges to get away.
This is the heart of America.
I'll never get out of America, no matter what mode of transportation I choose.
Yeah, don't insult them by calling them flyover states, for God's sakes.
I stick to rectangle states.
I've never lived in a rectangle state.
I lived in Pennsylvania. That's pretty close to rectangle. It's very close. So what do you think of the story so far?
I'm going to stay quiet still.
Okay. Well, I'll just tell you that
it's a fucking podcast. What do you mean you're going to stay quiet?
Because she knows.
Because I know.
Well, I suppose.
Well, you know what? No, I'll speak to something. I think that this whole Noreen Gosch thing, how she becomes vilified by the newspapers, the media, for simply refusing to let this go unheard. I think this is going to lend itself a lot to what the next couple of episodes is going to bring up, is how the police departments, the media, the rich and the powerful, how much power they actually have over what we know and what we hear and what we have access to when it comes to these types of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just went on my rant about that before we started recording, but I mean, this type of shit just bums me out, because I don't know. It's like especially if you've got small children. I mean, not that something bad can't happen to an adult child of yours, right? But
sure.
I don't know. I mean, why are you the way that you are, in the words of Michael Scott? Like, why are people just fucking leave the kids alone, man? I mean, I don't know. Just maybe it hits too close to home, because when you've got small children, like one of your main fears is like somebody's going to snatch them. And you, like with Noreen, like if you, and you've seen it in other cases where parents have been vilified when children have gone missing. And then after years and years and years, it comes out that, you know, something like this could have potentially happened to their child. You know, it's just like, why do we do this in a society? It's very easy.
Our society is all messed up.
I know.
And a lot of it has to do with, you know, we're all programmed by everything we watch, right? And like we learn most like regular stuff that isn't, you know, school, like that we learn, like, so that's how we think like everything works, is how it like worked on TV and everything, and stuff just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about like, it was a more recent case, but it was the little girl that went missing. And I want to say it was in Spain or Portugal. And the first thing that all the media and the cops are like, the parents were in on this. And this little girl is still considered missing, you know, after, and it's been, gosh, probably 15, 20 years at this point. But later on down the road, it came out that she could have been snatched and put into, you know, child trafficking because of all of these, you know, clues and things that detectives, when they picked the cold case file back up, started finding. And it's just like the media and the local police spent all this time vilifying the parents, and they didn't have anything to do with it. And they're grieving, and then also, you know, they're put through the ringer, and it's very frustrating to me, you know. And I can't wrap my mind around calling a police officer and saying my 12-year-old or younger than that, or a little bit older than that, before this law got passed, you know, has been missing, and them saying, well, we got to wait 72 hours. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
It's terrifying.
What is going on?
And I think you're right. I think this is something that doesn't really, it hits home when you're a parent, because that like in the grocery store feeling when you turn around and one of your 3 kids are jumping around, and all of a sudden that real bad kid that you have isn't jumping around, that feeling that it just like your heart goes straight down into your shoes, and it's the most terrifying feeling in the world. So these types of cases really just bum me out. They put me in a bad space, and I hate them. I hate them, Acadia.
Well, I'm looking forward to everybody's breakdowns after part 3.
Yes.
I already
we'll have to have like a weekend retreat or something like that.
Yeah,
recover.
That makes sense.
I can bring my crystals.
Oh yes, we'll have to be cleansed after this.
Well, folks, I guess since we have such big things planned and crystals and whatnot, we should tell people how they can get a hold of us if they want to talk about, I guess, getting in on that action.
All right, let's do it. Well, if you want to get in touch with me on Instagram or Twitter, you can get me at Shooey Time, SHOOEY Time. If you want to get Acadia, he's at Acadia on Twitter, at Acadia Einstein on Instagram. You got at MelsBells84 on Twitter, at Superficial Mels on Instagram, and you can get Snoop Strange on Instagram. I don't know what your Twitter is.
I don't have one.
Oh, all right. So Snoop Strange on Instagram, and if you just want to comment to the show or something, you can on Twitter we're at Strangeful Pod, and on Instagram we are Strangeful Things.
Yeah, you can email us at strangefulthings@gmail.com too.
There you go. There's that too.
Want that? Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then whatever podcast listening device you're using, just rate and review, comments, give us those 5 stars. We love them.
Yeah, and I guess now that we have 4 people, we don't have enough things for everybody to talk about. So I guess now, Mels, you have to do the Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Get a little of that. You've been promoted to Patreon.
Wow. Whew, finally something good in my life.
Notice how I still do the names, and I got skipped over by Snoops for rate and review.
Well,
Wait, what?
because you're
Fucking
first.
tough, dude.
Hey, I got it taken away from me, okay? How do you feel about that?
I told you that Snoops was going to do this.
Patreon.
I
Don't
warned
turn
everyone.
me into the bad guy here.
Listen,
I
we already
warned
know
everyone.
you're his favorite.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we can tell.
listen, Mel,
Katie,
tell
am
them
I
how to
your
do the
favorite? I
Patreon
need
because
to
that's
hear
how
it.
they get to the if they don't do Patreon, they can't be in on the crystal party or whatever we're having.
Yeah, that's true.
And you guys, I just got some new ones.
Hot diggity.
Right.
Jesus Christ, she's a slee stack. All right, go on.
Well, if you're looking for super cool content that you don't get regularly through the show, if you are looking for some cool swag like stickers, things like that, you can always become a Patreon at patreon.com/strangefulthings.
No, it's just Strangeful, I think.
Oh, shit.
Or maybe Strangeful Things works. Doesn't matter. You'll get the gist of it.
You'll figure it out.
You'll find
Yeah,
it.
it's fine.
We have
Do
a
you want me to-
smart
I can do
audience.
it over. I can do it over again.
No, it's fine. This is Snoops is to blame.
We'll do it live.
You know what? Now I don't know where I'm going with this one. All right, you know what? Parents, don't let your kids be newspaper boy deliverers at 5 o'clock in the morning by themselves and wearing flip-flops. Don't do it.
Yep, that's fair.
And be sure to count your blessings.
Don't forget to keep on flapping.
I thought you'd have a lot more zoom in it.
Keep on flapping.
Bye-bye.